Everybody, welcome back to the WahooWarrior channel. This is game 2 from the Bugeater GT. It's in progress. I started, here's a classic example of checking your equipment. Normally a video card and the SD settings good for 3 games, definitely 2 games. And I didn't clear up my video camera. I had a couple of videos on there from Alan and I. So I went to check my camera and I realized that it had stopped. So basically I'm playing against a British player. He's got an M7 Priest, a half track, he's got a lieutenant in there. He's got 2 Bren carriers off the board at the moment with some commandos in it, and they're coming in right now. The mission is kind of the hard one that was at Adepticon. They changed it a little bit and made the defender deploy all of his stuff on the board, which that didn't hurt me too much because since I'm so heavy infantry based, I didn't have a lot that prep of armament could destroy. I think the key points of this game were, first off, I hit that M7 Priest with a mortar turn 1, and I destroyed it since it's open top, and that was huge because that Priest would have dominated much of this side of the board, and it would have been very, very difficult because what ended up happening was I moved my 8-man submachine gun squad into that big factory. You can see there's a squad outside there. They took, after the Priest died, I did that. And they took a ton of fire from most of his army and was able to slow down his advance to the point where later turns, you realized it was kind of a little too late. The 2 Bren carriers coming in here pose a little bit of a problem because I've got not much left on the left flank. I've got a squad kind of coming down the street trying to get there, but the way that the scenario packet is designed, that he has to clear me off of that token and not have anybody within 3 inches at the end of a turn in order to claim the token. And I've got a lieutenant there. I've got a remainder of a 3-man squad. I have another squad behind the barrels there, and I've got one of those, I think maybe not a lieutenant but a forward observer. So he's picking me down. This is kind of towards the end of the game. He's picking me apart a bit, but it's not really going to be enough for him to do. He's got some his commandos haven't hopped out yet, or had they? I don't remember. But yeah, this is basically the last turn. He's kind of desperate, getting his trying to shoot that thing up with his half track. Yeah, this is. I actually have another video that's prior to this one. I realized when I change out the camera that it resets the numbers, but I'll just kind of go over the last bit of this. So this is pretty much the end of the game, and it's going to be a victory for me. But it wasn't for lack of my opponent. He had a great army list. I think probably the 2 things were that my commandos kind of slowed him down, or not my commandos, my submachine gun squad slowed him down quite a bit, and that Priest getting blasted turn 1. Yeah, so this was actually a video prior to where we were just showing. And another thing that happened was I put a pin on that Priest, and he rolled a foobar and had to back up quite a bit. That kind of hurt his plans on this side. I think he was planning to overwhelm this side and then go into the middle, and then he'd be able to capture that token. I didn't have very good cover to protect my tokens, and I didn't want to be any buildings in the beginning because of that Priest. But yeah, this was his big push. He's got 2 5-man commando teams with submachine guns. I had put some stuff in ambush. I didn't fire my ambushes on his Bren carriers because I've tried that in the past, and you know, commandos don't normally fail with 1 pin, and so I'm just going. And then subsequent turns, I think I just pretty much go down because the order dice were coming out in his favor, but was able to ambush those commandos. He's got a team of 4 on the right there and a team, I think, of 3 left there, and I've still got 6 veterans stubborn right there, but I still have my heavy machine gun Jeep alive at this point, So yeah, this was a pretty critical section of the battle. I was like, oof, I need to get some stuff. I had called my airplanes in earlier, and they did a pretty decent job this game. The one came in and basically made one of his squads in the middle go down, and put a bunch of pins on them. And I don't remember what the other one did. I didn't bomb myself though, so that's helpful. I think I'm rolling my airplane result right now on, and it came in on that squad in front of the factory there. But it basically just makes the squad go down and take a few pins. Maybe pick off a few models. But yeah, this left-hand side here. I tell you what, the stubborn veterans are pretty important. There's many scenarios where I was getting down to the last few guys, and I'm testing on a base 10. Probably the only thing if I was going to redo this airborne list, I would likely not have as many veteran squads, and I would try to get more. I'd probably try to take a couple. My gliders, the 12-man gliders, did real well, and I think I would try to take a 12-man glider squad, another one, and then only 2 8-man veteran squads, and I'd put submachine guns in both of them, because the 8-man with rifles didn't do a lot of damage. They don't have a lot of threat. Here I'm just going down. I'd picked off that one squad. I think I killed 2 commandos with my heavy machine gun, and he failed his check, so that was unfortunate for him. And yeah, it's pretty much just going to be wrapping up the side here. It's a great opponent. We played last year at Bugeater. He was the Soviet player with that gigantic tank. I think he did pretty well through the tournament here. I think the biggest thing for this scenario was me defending these tokens, and he did win the role, and he chose to be the attacker because of his mobility of his army with the priests and the 2 Bren carriers and the half track. It was probably not a bad call because I had to deploy my entire army, and I'm all infantry based. So in theory, he had his priest here on this side, a half track on this side, and the 2 Bren carriers. On paper, it should have worked much better for him than it did. The priest getting blasted hurt. The half track with like 1 pin getting a foo bar and having to run backwards for a turn hurt. And then it wasn't there, so there's no support in place for when the Bren carriers decide to come in. But if we did this scenario again, I don't think I would have been as fortunate with some of that stuff, and it would have been even harder for me to hold, because I barely held onto this token as it was. And I think the only thing he said that he felt he should have done was probably been a little more aggressive in the middle. We kind of did like this pot shot shooting at each other, and I was okay with that because I needed to keep him away from the tokens, and I didn't really have much to stop him. I had a 12-man glider squad. Yeah, it was a good game. So I did get another major win. There's my glider guys. They're basically just holding that center as a big human screen. I've got a bazooka over by that other token, and here I'm now at this point just running backwards because I don't want him doing anything fancy like with an assault and win and consolidate 6 inches past it or something crazy. So that's pretty much going to end the game. And like I said, this was before the other one, but alright guys, yeah, not much of a video, sorry for that. But the next match, I actually leave the camera on this channel and I record Dale playing against John Stentz, and I have not watched that, so I'm going to skip that one for now and then go to the next one. And I played against Paul Stewart in game 3, and that was a pretty good match, much in Paul's favor, and I'll discuss that, but I took pictures of it. But alright, so on to the next. Just some pictures from the setup. I mainly focused most of my forces in the center because I did deploy everything up front, and after he started to deploy, then I would be able to react. I didn't want to be too far on the sides. This is my commando squad, or glider regular squad with my lieutenant there, and then I have a 8-man submachine gun squad that ended up going into that center factory. That's my air observer there. He ended up running back and forth for several turns. On the right hand side, I had my recoilless rifle, my bazooka, and my 8-man rifle squad. Or no, that's a 6-man with a. I started them on. They're in that building there, and I'm just kind of waiting to see where the priest would come in, and I ended up just kind of coming out of there and running around. I spent a lot of time running around in the street, not doing a lot, trying to figure out what he was going to do. This is end game-ish type. The gliders just kind of move up and man that barricade, and they're putting some fire down on that infantry squad just to keep him at bay. He does have a howitzer sitting back there behind the house, which was a bit problematic, but he didn't roll very good. This was probably one of the major points of the game when I hit that with a mortar on the top, because it's plus. All things are +1 on the top. Against open top, it's +1 more, and it's also +1 on the damage chart. So my +2, he's a 8 armor, you know. So I was able to roll pretty good and knock it out. And just another picture of his infantry advancing on my gliders with my great-looking Rob Prince historique pin marker there. Those are really sharp. And then this is just a basically turn 1 picture of my mortar hitting that priest, my infantry squad. I didn't have a lot of cover over here on the left hand side for this token, so these barrels had to do it for a little bit. Alright guys, thanks for watching.